Thanks for staying with us. It's Ask the Consul. Of course, we will be taking your calls at this time. You have questions that you want to ask consular officers. They're right here, yes, from the U.S. Embassy, right here in Kingston. You don't need to get the information secondhand. You get the information right here. We have consular officers Martin Obermiller.
Hello, good morning.
I was trying to, it's a good thing you told me, because it does look like Miller to me, Obermiller. I was going to say Muela. It's Obermiller, and also we have Consular Officer Gary Corse, right?
Good morning. Yes, that's correct.
You're right. It's not spelled C-O-A-R, it's C-O-R-S-E.
C-O-R-S-E, yep.
Gentlemen, good to have you. And I want to let my callers know that we are taking your calls. You have the consular officers here to answer your questions about visa and immigration matters relating to the United States. Let me just remind you of the numbers. The landline numbers to call are 924-0753, 924-0739, 924-0222, 924-0696, and our cell number is 618-8255. Gentlemen, let's go to the line and take our first call. Sophie, good morning. How are you? Good to have you. Where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Thanks.
You have your radio on? You must, if you have your radio on, let me remind our listeners.
No, I'm listening to you.
Yes. All right.
Would like to ask the counselor.
Yes, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, if you have a young child, both parents is going to be overseas. The child have a visa. So if the child is to travel to visit, how long could the child stay until the child has been filed for?
All right, I think, Martin, you the answer? Or?
Well, I'll take this one. And let me clarify. Sophia?
Yes.
Thank you for your question. You're wondering if the child, how long the child can stay in the U.S. for a non-immigrant visa, like a tourist visa?
Yes.
Okay. The maximum length of stay for any visa applicant, unless otherwise stated, is usually 6 months. So
once she doesn't stay over 6 months, it's okay.
Yeah, as long as the child doesn't stay over 6 months, a 6 month period, that's fine. And then then the child would come back, and then the next visit could be a maximum of 6 months again.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, have a good day. Okay, we have another caller on the line. Let's go to this next caller. All right, that caller don't think is ready yet. Yes, that caller is ready. Renee?
Yes.
All right, let's hear from Renee. Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Not bad. We have Martin and Gary ready to answer your question.
Okay, actually, just wanted to confirm something here. I was told that if you don't use your visa for a period of time, you could lose it. I have had mine for 4 years out of 10, and I haven't been able to use it. I wanted to know if that's true.
Martin or Gary, who's going to answer?
Hi, this is Martin.
Hi.
Good morning, Renee.
Morning.
Your visa is good for the period over which it was issued. Oftentimes, that's 10 years. And it's not derogatory at all or against you if you haven't had the chance to use it. It's not going to just be canceled because you haven't had the opportunity to take a trip. I'd say we see some people who have a valid visa and had it for 10 years and just never had the opportunity to actually take a trip. And that's perfectly acceptable. Now, sometimes people have immigrant visas or green cards, and those things are a little bit more complex and have certain requirements for time periods in the U.S. But that doesn't sound like it applies in your situation.
Okay, so really all I need to do now is to just buy a ticket, right?
That's right. If your visa is still valid and it hasn't expired yet, you should still be fine.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
all right. You have a good day.
You too.
Thanks for calling. All right, we're going to go for the break now, gentlemen. Martin and Gary, we're going to go for the break right now. You're listening to At Your Service. Welcome back. You're listening to At Your Service here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. It's Ask the Consul. We have two consular officers, Martin Obermiller and Gary Corse, with us. Let's go to, who do we have now? Maurice. Maurice, how are you?
I'm wonderful, sir. How are you?
Yes, not bad. Go right ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. They're listening. Go ahead.
Oh, quick question. How do I go about getting a work permit for the US, from the U.S. Consul, and what's the process?
Oh, this is Gary. Thank you, Maurice, for your question. There are several types of work visas. Is there a specific one that you're inquiring about, or what your objective is in the U.S.?
Well, in fairness, I won't take up the time, so I'll just get to the chase of the matter. It's pretty much like a brain drain. Pretty much frustrated with the Jamaican economy. Just want to take a next step. So, work permit, meaning just I have my degree and so forth. I just want to get that one.
Okay.
So I don't specifically know which work permit you're talking about.
Well, depending on the type of work that you're doing in the U.S., it could be there could be several different classifications. On the non-immigrant visa side, that's not you're not permanently in the U.S., and then on the immigrant visa side, so basically there are H-2B work permits. Those are for like seasonal workers, and there are also the H-1Bs. Those are more like specialized experience. So if you're in the IT field, for example, and you have a company that will file for you or petition for you, then you can go up like that. So I think your first step is to go on travel.state.gov and review all the classifications that we have to offer. We have a lot of classifications, and decide what kind of work you want to do in the U.S. and tie that with the classification. You might have to consult with a lawyer or just do some research on travel.state.gov. Does that help?
Okay. All right. Well, that's good enough for me, so thank you. I guess I'll have to do some more research on it.
All right. Thank you very much for calling.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's go to another caller. Devon. Good morning, Devon. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Darby. I'm good.
Yes.
Still enjoying your program.
Thank you very much. And speak to Martin and Gary.
I say good morning to the two gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yes, morning. Well, I have a U.S. Let me say I had a U.S. visa at 10 years. My vehicle was broken into and my laptop was stolen with everything. All my documents, including I had a passport at the time, because I had to go somewhere to do business where I need 2 IDs. And now I leave it at home. But I'm applying. I want to reapply because it would expire in 2016, and I want to go to the BEA, which is a book industry, a book expo in America, because that's where I normally travel to. I have all the documents from the police and things. In going in for my appointment, I need to carry all the documents from the police. What do I need to take?
Yeah, it's very helpful if you would bring that information with you. When you come in for your appointment, we'll also have you make a report basically on the circumstances in which the visa was lost or stolen. But we encounter this fairly regularly, and we should be able to process you fairly quickly.
I'd like to add something. This is Gary. If your passport, in general, this is in general, not specifically to your case, but in general, if your passport is stolen and you report it to the police, but later you find it again, it's very important that you actually get another passport. Because we can't after it's been reported to the local authority, it can't be used in our systems again. So you'd have to get another passport.
Okay, I've received a new passport already.
Okay.
But the only thing is that the U.S. visa would not expire until this 2016, but the UK visa had expired because there were 2 visas in it.
Yeah, but they're not concerned about your U.S. visa.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes. All right.
So Martin, basically, he'd have to come back in and get a visa stamped in that new passport.
You would have to apply for another visa if you don't have that visa anymore. If it was in the passport that was stolen, you'd have to apply for another visa all over again. And then we would get, and then if it was approved, it would be for typically the same validity that you had the last time, which in your case it appears to be about a 10-year validity. So you would basically start over.
All right. Thanks very much.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. I tell you, we're going to go now to another caller. Who do we have here? What's your first name? Good morning. I tell you what, Martin, we're coming up to let's take Liz then. Liz, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Darby. How are you?
Not bad.
I'm enjoying the program, and those two gentlemen, I just want to say hi to them.
Martin and Gary.
Hello,
Liz. For coming in to really educate us about what is going on with the U.S. Embassy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
My problem is this. My question is this. My husband's father is living in the state. He's American citizen, right? And he's filing for him from 2009. Now, he went and did a DNA, and the DNA was approved, right? What I want to know, that was almost 2 years now since he did the DNA test. What I want to know, how long it's going to take for them to call him back for the interview or whatever.
Okay, Les, I could take that. This is Gary. Thank you for your question. I understand that you want your husband to go to the U.S. as soon as possible, and the DNA is already taken care of.
Yes.
And it's been 2 years. What you can do, the easiest thing you could do right now is to email KingstonIV@state.gov. That's our general mailbox for all immigrant visa related matters. And you should email with all the specifics, the case number and everything, and tell them that Gary sent you.
Oh, let me get back the email address. I'm trying to write it anyway. It's
Kingston IV.
Kingston IV
at state.gov.
At state.gov.
That's correct.
Kingston IV at state.gov. And tell them it's Gary.
That you spoke to Gary on the radio show.
Uh-huh.
And you're inquiring about your case.
Okay.
Thank
you.
All right, you have a wonderful day. All the best. Let's go to another caller. Angela, how are you? Good to have you.
I'm good. And how are you?
Not bad. I know we're ready for your question.
Yeah, I will say pleasant good morning to those two gentlemen.
Yes, Martin and Gary.
Good morning, Angela.
Yeah, Okay, my mom has filed for me from the 10th of September 2003. Actually, we have received a mail to pay the affidavit and the visa fee. So I would like to know how long we have to wait before we go to the USA.
Thank you for your question, Angela. Just to clarify, your mom filed for you in 2003, and how old were you when she filed for you? In 2003, were you over 21 or under?
What about 30-something? I don't quite remember.
So right now we're processing cases like yours starting from the year 2006. So there's you might have to wait a few more years before that immigrant visa case to become current. And when it becomes current, we'll receive your case and contact you for a date so you can attend your interview.
She filed for me 2003.
That's correct. Some categories take many years. Depending on the relationship with the person that's petitioning for you, that's filing for you. Depending on that relationship, it could take anywhere from 6 months up to as many as 20 years.
Okay. But the other day I've received to pay the affidavit of support and the visa fee.
Yes, and then once you come in for your interview, at that point, the timeline until you can actually go to the U.S. is dependent on how complete your documentation is. Some people come to that interview and they have all of their materials ready, and so it doesn't need to sort of recycle multiple times as you get all the paperwork in order. But assuming that you come prepared with a valid, up-to-date police certificate, medical exam, your affidavit of support documents all show adequate financial support, then it often does not take very long, perhaps a matter of weeks in many cases, before the visa can be printed. And then those visas are valid typically for about 6 months. So you would have 6 months from the time everything is approved to move to the United States. But this is very case dependent. It all depends on the materials in your file, the visa category, as Gary just described, and the overall workload in the embassy.
Okay, another question I'd like to ask you. Suppose when you go to the USA and you spend on your visiting visa and you spend up to 7 days before the 6 months expire, is that going to be a problem for you to travel again?
Angela, no, that's not going to be a problem. However, if you go over that 6 months, it could negatively impact your next visa issuance. So it's okay to cut it close, but if you go over, you may not be able to. Your case will be reviewed, and the officer that interviews you will notice that you went over your stay. So please keep that in mind.
And I would also add that in addition to the time limits, it's also a requirement that the visa is used appropriately.
Okay.
And towards that end, then, you would want to be able to demonstrate that you were using the visa appropriately and were using it, since it is a visitor's visa, just for tourist and relaxation purposes. So you might need
can I go ahead and travel again?
Yes.
If you've returned, you have a validity period that's that last year's, for example, 10-year validity period. You have a visa to travel for 10 years. That doesn't mean you could stay for 10 years. You can only stay for up to 6 months at a time during those 10-year validity.
I came down last year October.
Caller, will I know your final point? We'll have to leave you after this, you see? All right. Okay, I was
saying that I came down last year October, and I'd like to go again and look for my mom. So I'm worrying,
No, don't worry, man. They have answered your question. Just take note of what they have said to you, all right? All the best.
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day. All right, let's take one final call before we go for the break. It's Nash.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Darby, and good morning to your in-house guest.
Yes, Martin and Gary.
My last visa was granted in 1997, and I only traveled on it once. I am now trying to reapply for a B1, B2, that's a visitor's visa. Some time ago, my house was broken into, and I thought my passport was missing with the visa, so I reported it to the embassy and to the police station. Subsequently, it was found. Now, on the application form, they have asked me to indicate the year or the date that the visa was stolen, and I am unable to recall the exact year or date. What should I be writing? What should I be saying? How can they guide me in terms of filling out the application form, and how will that impact my eligibility during the interview for a visa?
Hi, this is Martin.
Hi, Martin.
Hi. I would put in an estimated date, and you can talk about the exact circumstances when you have your interview and talk with the consular officer. And I just want to reiterate that what Gary had said earlier today, and that is, if you have reported the passport that you have right now stolen, even if you found it, it's very important that you go get a new passport, because it will already be in the databases, and you'll have great difficulty traveling, even if we managed to get a visa printed in it. So I just want to emphasize that you need a fresh passport that has never been reported stolen.
Right.
And then
I have that.
And then if you come with that other information on the application and an estimate, you can talk with the officer. And as I said earlier, this is not an uncommon occurrence. So
it won't be a problem not to have the police report or the exact date.
No.
Not to have that information to furnish.
That's right. We'll talk with you about it when you come in for the interview, and have you estimate to the best of your ability on a form when you come in.
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. All the best. You have a wonderful day. Okay, Martin and Gary, we're going to go for the break right now. You're listening to At Your Service. Welcome back. You're listening to At Your Service here on Nationwide 90 FM. A revolution in media. It's Ask the Council. Martin, probably can help us with this one. Somebody called before, and they talked about staying for an extended period. Not really an extended, but you're allowed, I think, 6 months. And they're wondering if they could stay for 6 months. And I know some persons, they're under this notion that if you stay for a long period, like 2-3 months, that if they go for their visa the next time, they might have a challenge getting that visa because it is felt that they stayed too long in the States. How would you respond to that concern?
Well, I would say that can be a valid concern, depending on your life circumstances. In other situations, staying a few months at a time is no issue at all. Maybe some examples would serve well to illustrate the point. Take, for example, a 70-year-old grandmother who is going for multiple years in a row and staying 4 to 6 months each year to see her grandkids and take care of her grandkids. That's a completely legitimate and valid and believable reason.
Yes.
And that's not going to be held against that grandmother. Similarly, children spending summers with relatives is not an uncommon occurrence whatsoever. Now, take another circumstance where suppose you're in your 20s or 30s and your income is not especially strong. If you are spending 4 to 6 months every year in the United States, the question is going to be, how are you supporting yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? And in those situations, there might be doubt that the visa is being used appropriately and concerns that someone might be working inappropriately in the U.S. So, on the other hand, that same person who might be in their 20s or 30s may have a long stay or two and have a perfectly legitimate reason for doing so, taking care of a sick relative or another one-off circumstance that would not be held against the person.
Right.
So it very much depends on the person's life circumstances and their ability to communicate that they are using the visa appropriately.
All right, thank you, Martin, for explaining that one for us. We have a Nadine. All right. Eileen, good morning, Eileen. How are you?
Not bad, Mr. Darby. And how are you?
Good to have you. Not bad at all.
Okay, I would like to speak to your consulate, please.
Yes, they're here, listening.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, my daughter filed for me sometime in February last year, and they had asked for everything, and she had paid all the fee, and I sent in my police record and my birth paper and everything. Sometime in last month, she received an email that on her side everything is completed, but I'm still waiting and I'm not hearing anything whether I should get a letter to go and do my medical or anything. Could you give me some information about that, please?
Hello, Eileen. This is Gary.
Hello.
So just to clarify, did your daughter, did you attend an interview with an officer?
No, not as yet. That's what I'm waiting on.
Okay. If you believe that all the documentation has been turned in and nothing else is needed from you, and a lot of time has passed, I would suggest emailing Kingston Ivy at state.gov.
Okay.
However, if you did recently turn in all of your documents and you received a notice that everything's okay, sometimes processing can take a matter of a few weeks or more, depending on each case. Every case is different. Every situation is different. But if you want to find out more information about your specific case, I suggest you email that email address, and we're happy to respond to you.
Could you please give me that number?
Sure. It's an email address, so it's Kingston IV at state.gov.
At state.gov.
That's correct.
Okay, state.gov. Okay, so am I supposed to receive a letter from them, please?
Well, depending on your case, you'll receive some kind of a notification. But I would reach out to us and just see what the status is.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
I have to leave it on. Thank you very much for calling. Simone, good to have you. How are you? Simone? Why is Simone not talking to me at all? Good morning, Simone. All right, Joe. All right, let's go to Joe then. Joe, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Darby.
How are you doing? I'm sure it's Joan, right?
Yes, sir. Joan.
Good to have you. You go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Martin.
There's a problem with your line. You start again.
Morning, Mr. Martin.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. I have a problem, sir. My son is saying he wants to file for me, but I was removed over 10 years ago from the New Jersey airport, and because they say I was working, sir, and I had a back stamp on my passport, and they say I couldn't come back until 5 years' time. So I'm wondering now if my son could still file for me.
The short answer, Joan, is yes, your son can file for you. Now, depending on the circumstances of your removal, there may be some ineligibilities that apply, but oftentimes there are waivers available, but that would involve getting into the specific details of your case to determine the exact circumstances.
That's correct, Martin. And just to add, if he can apply right now, you don't have to wait for anything to come back to you for him to start filing. So he can go right to the USCIS.gov website and start the petition process through that agency. It's the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services website. And he'll fill out the proper forms and start that process to get you filed. But the sooner he files for you, the sooner your application can get processed, and we can review the history that you discussed with us today.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's go to another caller, Jackie. How are you doing, Jackie? Good to have you.
I'm good. Good morning.
I hear that.
Yes. May I speak to your U.S. consulate?
Yes, they're listening. You go right ahead.
Yes, I'm calling to request your assistance regarding the changing of a date that was given for an interview. The applicant applied on the 26th of March and was given May 15th. But May 15th is really a challenge, as the applicant who is being sponsored intends to attend a medical conference in Florida, and it begins on the 15th of May. And so there is a serious challenge here, and we do not know how to proceed in getting some change with this date.
Hello, Jackie. This is Gary. I'm happy to answer your question. Let me start off by just explaining how the visa demand is different in different parts of the year. So the peak visa season is from about April to June, and if you apply now, you may not get an early appointment date. However, we are releasing dates as we go. So the applicant can check to see if there's an earlier date. Just keep checking the website, basically the website that you went through to schedule that interview. The other thing is that if you have an urgent situation, for some applicants, you're able to email Kingston NIV Emergency at state.gov.
And let me have that. You said
it's Kingston NIV Emergency.
Kingston
NIV Emergency.
NIV Emergency
at state.gov. And that website, that email address, along with all of our other email addresses, are on our Kingston U.S. Embassy Kingston website, and that's kingston.usembassy.gov. And feel free to email the email address I gave you and explain your situation, and depending on the requirements that we have, and depending on your situation, we may be able to fit you in for an expedited, or that applicant for an expedited interview. However, if we don't, the May 15th date may have to be held, or you can always check to see if we add in more appointments. We sometimes we add more appointments during the weeks before May 15th. So please keep checking.
All right, so I would not need to give you any information like your confirmation number, nothing like that.
Well, send your email with the confirmation number, the name, and everything that you have, and the situation basically, and the need to go to the U.S.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. You have a wonderful day. All right, let's go now to Donna. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Donna. Donna. I think Donna probably is not listening to me at all, or we lost Donna. Good. All right, let's go now let's hear from Genevieve. Genevieve, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Mr. Darby, and morning to your U.S. counselors. Must congratulate you on the wonderful education job that you have been doing so far. It has been a great help. I have 2 short questions. What is the minimum or maximum period that a visitor's visa can be granted, and what are the key documents that you need to take to an interview for a visitor's visa?
Gary? Who's always going to answer?
This is Martin. I'll answer this one. Good morning. Most of the time, visas are issued for a 10-year validity period. However, and that is, in most circumstances, also the maximum validity. However, sometimes visas are issued in a limited capacity for a specific purpose or for over a specific time period. So, for example, many people around this time of year are applying to go to the Penn Relays. Mm-hmm. And some of them may be issued visas for one entry for that one trip to attend the Penn Relays. It all depends on the specific circumstances of the case and the purpose of travel.
General vacation.
And again, for vacation, most of the time, if it's just a general purpose vacation, most of the time those visas are going to be 10-year validity visas for a maximum stay, as discussed before, of 6 months. But oftentimes people use it, and it's reasonable to expect people to use it for much shorter periods of time than 6 months. As far as documents, we say the number one document to come prepared with to the interview is the truth.
I love that one.
And in addition to that, sometimes you need supporting documents, but not always. If you are married, sometimes a marriage certificate. Sometimes if you have a business registration certificate. But most of the time, the decision is going to be based on your conversation with the consular officer. So you don't need to burden yourself collecting a whole bunch of different documents to bring in.
Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you.
Thanks.
All the best. Thanks for calling. All right, let's now go to Jackie. Jackie, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. I'd like to speak with the counselor.
They're listening. Go ahead.
Good morning, counselor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My daughter filed for me since here. How long would that take to come through?
I'm sorry. Your daughter filed for you?
Yes.
Okay. And well, when did she file for you?
She put it in February.
In February. Okay. Well, sometimes, as I was saying earlier in the broadcast, depending on the category of immigrant visa that you're applying for, it could take anywhere from 6 months to several years. In your situation, not to get into too much detail, I suggest you email KingstonIV@state.gov with the case number and send your information, like your name and everything, and then we'll reach back to you, and we can actually tell you whenever that file is going to become ready for review and an interview. Usually what happens after an American or a legal permanent resident files a petition for a foreign national, basically the case goes to the National Visa Center in the U.S., and the National Visa Center usually holds on to that case until it becomes ready. and after that, then the case comes down to us, and then we interview you. So we could tell you when you email us, we could tell you exactly where it is, and get back to you, so you can be prepared and ready to go when the interview comes around.
Okay, so you say I should send the email to what?
KingstonIV@state.gov.
KingstonIV.com?
At state.gov.
You have access to the internet?
Thank you, yes.
Yes, I'm going to put that on my Facebook page. All right, to all the listeners, we will put that information
Thank you.
on my Facebook page. All the best. Can take another call. All right. Gentlemen, listen, before you go, we have another minute or so. I know it's coming up to, peak time. We have quite a number of persons traveling. Summer is coming up. Is there anything you want to mention? Who's on the floor now?
Definitely.
Gary?
Sure. Yeah, this is Gary. So peak season is from April to June. It could last a little bit longer some years, mainly because there's a lot of pin relays, as Martin said, and the J1 Summer Work Travel Program is starting up, and H-2B season is at its peak. Those are the worker visas, the seasonal worker visas. So a lot of Jamaicans are applying at this time of the year. So if you plan to travel for vacation or any other purpose, it's good to always schedule your appointment as soon as possible. Just plan ahead, and that way you're not traveling too late. But we do have that emergency email address that I mentioned earlier. That is on our kingston.usembassy.gov website, and you're feel free to email if you have a real emergency to get to the U.S. But apply as soon as you can for an appointment.
All right. Any other point, Gary? That's it?
Well, one other thing, visit our Facebook page at U.S. Embassy Jamaica. You could send your questions there, and don't forget to like us.
Yes, I hope you like my page too.
I like your page.
If you don't, you'll be in big trouble. All right. Thank you very much, Martin Obermiller and Gary Korst, for staying with us today and providing all that information for our listeners. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. We enjoyed it. 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 Thanks for having us.